This is day 37 of me documenting my journey from overweight to 10% body fat. And I've learned a lot when it comes to documenting everything, learning more about myself, all the positives and negatives when it comes to all of this. And it's been going good. Been going amazing when it comes to the physique. But when it comes to this, my mind is still overthinking, and that's something that I need to get over with. I'm 155.6 pounds, woke up today, tracked my weight, 155.6 pounds. Yesterday I was 156.4 pounds. So lost almost a pound in a day, but that's just like water weight, something that I've realized. Most of the days it's just I'm staying the same weight for like 3 to 4 days or in the same range, and then boom, I just get out of it, move a pound over. It's always been this pattern. But what I'm saying when I say I've been overthinking making content, it's just been my goal from the beginning was just making a documentation of the entire journey, right? That's what I wanted from the beginning. Not to overthink about engagement, views, all of this other things that my mind has been thinking about when I'm making content. And that's why I missed the last upload. Is because I've been prioritizing the results over prioritizing the action. You know, all of the actions that I do, if they're not congruent with the character that I have developed through going on this journey from overweight to the weight that I am today, it feels wrong. The entire motto of consistency over intensity, it's not just about, just showing up without any effort. It's not about that. It's not about just making it go slow. It has so much more depth. Those 3 words, consistency over intensity, it has so much depth behind it. I was thinking about this on the way that I was coming here. Even the small thoughts of overthinking about the result, overthinking about what I'm going to say inside of this video whilst I'm documenting, overthinking about what I'm going to say inside of the reels, the hook that I'm going to use, the things that I'm going to say inside of the stories. It's not just about me. I'm not trying to just be selfish and just make this something that I'm just making for myself. It's not even just that. It's also helping the person who's watching this. It's about giving that person all of my thought process that I have right now, all the difficulties that I'm facing, to show him that all of this lifestyle that people show on the internet about being disciplined all of the time is untrue. It's fake. It's not true. Most of the time I'm just overthinking about everything. You don't think I have doubt when it comes to achieving all of the goals that I have? But just overthinking about making content, not being present in the moment, not naturally just pouring out, value from myself and just thinking about all these small words that I need to say inside of the content in order for people to stay inside of the video. It feels unnatural to me. And yesterday I thought about it. And I was like, I don't really want a lot of people watching this. I only want a select few people who are facing the pain that I was facing. I only want them to watch this because they're the only people who will reap the benefits, because they're the ones that are relating most to me. Can't even believe I've gotten results. That feels so good. Because I remember a few months ago when I started this journey and started being consistent and swallowed my pride and ego and just adopted this thinking of, it's going to take more time than I think, but I'm just going to prioritize taking action over thinking about the result. I was thinking to myself, I can't even imagine myself being 155 pounds or 71 kilograms, 70 kilograms. I can't even imagine. Because there's been so many loops and patterns in my life where I've just gone down to 165 and I've just gone back up to 180. And I've been in that loop for a long period of time. And just breaking through the wall of 165 pounds and leaping over to 155 has been a big win when it comes to this journey. The mistake that I've made in the past has been prioritizing work over fitness. It's been prioritizing watching these videos on how to speak better, on how to articulate myself better, on how to hold more attention inside of the videos, on how to be better at sales and be better at all of these things that didn't really help me in the long run. I'm gonna be honest, watching all those videos didn't do shit. It just made me overthink even longer. Prioritizing that over something that actually builds me in so many ways was such a big mistake. And also half-assing that thing, but trying to go all in on the work thing. You know, I've half-assed fitness for a long period of time. Throughout my entire teens, I half-assed fitness. I did not show up consistently because I chose intensity. I chose pride and ego. I chose doing more weights than I could, and that would scare me for the next workout. I chose scarcity mindset so that I dirty bulked, and I made a lot of mistakes, which made me just like skinny fat, and I've lost over like 20.6 pounds already, and I still got like 15.6 pounds to lose to have a six-pack, to be like 10% body fat. And I'm even confused about that number, 10% body fat. Am I going to be that 10% body fat or not, Doesn't even matter. I have to consistently make an effort to coach myself to prioritize the action over the result, because there's so much bad that comes out of that. I've seen so many people who've fallen into greed, who've fallen into lust. They've fallen into the result. And that's what's destroyed their career. That's what destroyed their path to greatness. Or they were already great, that become great, but all of this thinking of I want it fast, it's a double-edged sword. Because if you want balance in life, you don't also want it slow, right? But at the same time, wanting it fast only, it's just so much bad things come out of that. So many bad traits. So many bad belief patterns. Destroying yourself in the short term in order to have that thing. It's just something that I have to train myself not to be like anymore. Because this week has been an entire week of just overthinking about almost everything. About whether I should do the morning routine or not. Whether I should just blatantly just skip the morning routine in order to work longer, prioritize the work again. Whether I should say this hook or that hook. Whether I should do more ideation when it comes to this or that. How I should go viral on social media. How I should impact more people. How I should give more value inside of these videos. How I should do that. And I should just what I've realized by the end of this week right now, what I've realized is just shut up and show up. Shut up and show up, that's it. Lower the intensity. Lower the expectation. Lower the perfectionism. That's the number one thing that I need to do when it comes to content. Because it's a long run game. It's a long game. It's a 5 years to 10 years game. That's what I've realized. I'm not just gonna start posting 8 to 10 reels every single day. That's a short-term goal. That's chasing virality. That's chasing results. And in the long run, that will just destroy me and make me burn out and hate content. Hate doing this. If I'm not enjoying doing it, how are other people are gonna How are they going to enjoy watching it? The entire goal of this is just documenting. That's it. Documenting my natural thoughts. It doesn't really matter if I have gaps within my speech. It doesn't really matter if I'm boring within my speech. With enough repetition, I'm going to get better and better and better and become better at impacting other people's lives. Because that's the one metric that I'm trying to track right now, and that's impacting other people's lives. But before doing that, I should impact my own life the most, because I lack the authority when it comes to giving advice about physique. That's the mistake that I'm trying to make right now. Even as of right now, while I'm recording this video, I'm trying to sound authoritative and like someone, like as if I know something, which I don't. There's so much I don't know. All I have done has been be consistent for 3 months. That's been my entire experience. And I hate it. I speak of this every single video, but I have to remind myself again and again. I hate it when I see people who don't have results speak from the frame of authority. Tell you to do this, tell you to do that, because they've seen some other douchebag on the internet who has a ton of results, but he's an asshole and he just gives advice to people in a harsh way, and that's how they try to imitate themselves inside of their videos. That never works. It's never really worked for me. Harsh advice. Speaking in a harsh manner towards myself, it just puts me in just a scarcity mindset, and I objectify and I just pedestalize the result even more, and think of it as if it were something that's so much higher than me, when I'm worth much more than that thing. The supercar that I wanted a few months ago, the 458 Spider Russo Corsa Ferrari, I'm worth so much more than that. It's a piece of metal. It's a car. It's a piece of metal. I don't understand how people pedestalize all these materialistic things in the world. And I don't hate the materialistic things. I love them, I want to have them, but I know that the trait of being consistent is worth so much more than all of those supercars combined, all of those luxurious houses combined, all of the millions and billions of things in the world. The trait of being consistent and choosing consistency over intensity is such a big trait. It goes much deeper than I thought. It goes deeper than weight loss. Even my faith, even my religion, it's all about being consistent, praying 5 times per day. It's all about being consistent every single day. And it's all about being inside of that flow. That's what I've learned. Keeping that flow. Where, the one moment that I remember where I was in flow, in the zone, right? The athletes call it the zone. It was inside of a football, not a game. It was just a practice match. I had football practice, and I was just playing. And I got so immersed into it because the challenge level was at the same level as my skill level. I got so immersed into it that I just started playing in such a good way, I impressed myself the most when I did that. Inside of the practices, I was so good. I was just playing, scoring goals, doing all these passes and everything. But when it came to the match, those days, I had all this fear. I had this fear inside of me when the whistle went up. Like when the referee, he whistled, and the match started, and the first pass, I saw the first pass, I just went into this fight or flight mode, and I just froze up. And it's that feeling where you feel like there's nothing inside of your stomach. You know that feeling? It was literally like that feeling, where I felt like I had zero energy, and I just froze up. And that's where I made the most mistakes. Inside of my football matches, I was a terrible player. Couldn't even make it that many passes. Would not be able to even think in the moment. Just act out of scarcity, because I wanted to be a good player. and not just focus on the match. That's what it means. That's what it signifies. Trying to be happy makes me less happy. If I try to do things that make me happy, I will just go and binge eat. But in the long run, that will just make me unhappy. If I try to be confident in front of you inside of this video, I would just be less confident. If I try to act authentic and just think about, oh, this doesn't sound right, this does sound right, let me say this, let me not say this, let me not make any mistakes, it'll just be bland and boring. And there's no emotion and there's nothing. I think it was almost like a year ago, 9 months, 10 months ago, I was just making videos on this channel. And I was a fat loss coach, even though I didn't even have a six-pack. I was listening to this guy and I was saying, it feels wrong to be a fat loss coach. I have this imposter syndrome. I don't feel like I have a result. Why should I speak like an authority inside of my videos? He told me, speak about the things that you did. And I had got this customer who paid me like $500 for fat loss coaching. And I actually got him a lot of decent results because I actually care about people. I actually care about this person and getting him results. I actually got him down like from, I think it was like 16% body fat to like 10%, some shit like that. But he actually got to see his abs and got a bit like shredded, I would say, down to like 9% body fat, that amount. I actually helped him, but at the same time, my results were down. I was fat, I was overweight. But because I was focusing on business and I was focusing on making YouTube videos, and inside of the YouTube videos, it was all scripted. Everything was scripted. It's just, I felt so terrible making those videos. It felt the opposite of what I'm doing right now, which is just no script, just all my raw talks, Inside of those videos, I was just looking at the screen, looking at the monitor, and then looking at the camera, and then speaking, exactly just saying that, scripted videos. And it felt so shit. The videos looked good, but they felt robotic. They weren't meant to help people, they were meant to entertain and to hold retention. I had thought about the results too much, and that's why my content was good. It was edited, the editing was good, the storytelling was good, the points were great, but it lacked that core fundamental lesson that I've been talking about, which is immersing yourself in the action and being in this flow rather than thinking about the result. And it's not like I don't think about the result anymore. I think about the result all the time. I don't think it's wrong to think about the result 20% of the time. But for 80%, I should be focusing on the action itself. Making the vision boards, imagining myself getting the result, getting the car, retiring my family, getting the six-pack. It did nothing but just make me lose fuel. Because if I'm constantly thinking about getting those things and I'm imagining myself getting those things, I got rid of the fuel to take action. What about the action? And what about after I get those things? Is my life story finished? The founder of Loom, he sold his company, I don't know for how much, I think for 900 million or whatever. I think he got like 50 million to his name. And there was a blog post that he did. He said, I am a millionaire and I don't know what to do with my life. And I think the summary of it was just like, he had gotten all this result, this big result of being a millionaire. If you got like $50 million to your name right now, you think about so many things that you would do. Travel the world, buy the car, marry, settle down, buy a big house in the woods away from the city. That's a big dream of mine as well. Like almost, I think, every single man on the planet. Retire your family, send your parents on a world tour, have all these nice parties or whatever. I'm not into parties, but I think a lot of people actually want to do that. Buy yourself everything. It will never end. It will never end. These celebrities, they destroy themselves with pleasure because they think that it will get them the thing that they really want. A few months ago, when I thought about these things, when I would think about these things of like, yeah, look at those people. Look at those guys who say results won't fulfill you. You know, they're coping. They're coping. They're thinking of it too deeply. It's not that deep. Just get the result. That's it. It's not that deep, is it? If I got $50 million right now, my story ends. Do you think I'll post another video if I got $50 million right now? Do you think I'll go to another gym workout? Maybe go to a better gym? But is the fuel gonna be there? No. The fuel is gone. I got the result, that's it. End of story. And after 6 months to 1 year to 2 years, my life is gonna feel as unfulfilling as to when I was broke. You know, I saw a video of a guy the other day where he said like, I'm broke, I don't have any money to my name, I have to make money fast, All I have is this laptop, this thing right here, some food right here, I have to make money fast, you know? It's acting out of scarcity. Scarcity will never get me there. That's one thing that I know. Can I achieve the 6-pack in 2 weeks? No. Never. If I wanted to, I could. But I'd probably kill myself doing it. You know, losing all those pounds, you probably got to do like 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 steps every single day. If I want to get the 6-pack in the next 2 weeks, I'll probably do 40k steps every single day. Probably eat 1,000 calories or even less than that, 800 calories every single day. Sleep a lot more, completely burn myself out. Would probably look like Griffith after he got tortured in Berserk, right? Probably look like that. I would technically get the 6-pack, but I would have literally completely destroyed myself in the process. You know the movie Wolf of Wall Street, Goodfellas, Scarface. All these movies are lessons about how people just destroy themselves with fast results. But nobody thinks about that. Everyone is just thinking about the gangster edits and all that shit and all the money and flexing and Jordan Belfort, you know, throwing money at the FBI guy, and the FBI guy is the one that suffers in the end. You know, that's what the people think about. They don't think about heaven or hell. They don't think about the fact that God's watching them right now. God's listening to you and me right now. To our thoughts. To everything. They sacrifice their soul in the pursuit of material. And that's the thing that I'm trying to avoid, even in the long run. Because I don't want to be the guy at the same time, even though I say these things, I don't want the result right now. You know, I want the result, but don't want to keep thinking about the result. There is art and there is business. And I think the perfect mix comes when both of it just mixes within each other, right? Business and art. You know, movies, for example. Why are the old movies so good? Why are they constantly analyzed? Why are the directors from right now, why do they always like copy scenes from old movies and it's like that's their favorite movies, like old movies from 60s, 50s, 30s, you know. I think the 80s era, 70s to 90s era is the golden age of movies. You know, it's the best movies were made there. It's because the studios had less control and the directors had more control over the films, and that's why they prioritize art over profit. They prioritized, they romanticized, like, not romanticized, what's the word? They fell in love with the action. They immersed themselves into their craft. You know, they're so dedicated to perfecting their craft and just taking action rather than just thinking about, oh, will this movie work or not? Story of Steven Spielberg, by the way. He was making his third movie. I think it was Jaws. Jaws was his third movie. You know, I think one of his best, most successful movies of all time. I think the movie that like blew him up when it comes to like it paved his name, into uh, cinema and everything. He was constantly thinking, will this movie work? Will this movie not work? I think that just taught me a lesson right now that all this is normal. Overthinking about the results is just normal. He was constantly thinking, oh, Jaws won't work. It won't work. We don't have a real shark. We don't have the budget for it. Jaws became the highest grossing movie of its time. And for 2 years, it remained at rank number 1 until it was beaten by Star Wars. It literally beat The Godfather. In one of the greatest movies of all time. It's considered one of the greatest movies of all time. It literally beat The Godfather when it came to profit and revenue. That just shows that it doesn't even matter if I have doubt or not. Just taking action and immersing myself into my craft and just showing up and going into depth will improve my situation regardless. Old movies were so great because are still great to this day because they prioritized art. And that's what my decade-long goal is. I want to make an independent film studio of my own one day where I prioritize art more than profit. And that's why I want to make myself completely financially free. And the weight loss and getting to 10% body fat is the first move of doing that on the surface level. But beneath the ice, it's about consistently just repeating that lesson inside of my head. Consistency over intensity. Consistency over intensity. It's just focusing on that. Just teaching myself that. Coaching myself that every single day. Because there's a lot of thinking patterns that need to be changed inside of my head. There's so many thinking patterns. There's so much shit. Small things. It's so funny to me, man. So funny to me. When I wake up in the morning, in the past week, when I've woken up in the morning, right, it's been like I've been thinking about the reels that I'm gonna make, rather than thinking about the routine, the next step that I have to do. I've been looking into the insights of the reels. Oh, how many saves does this reel get? How much impact did I do here? How much impact did I do there? And I think there's not much wrong with it if I'm looking at impact and saves and shit like that. But at the same time, it's like I shouldn't be thinking about that. I should be thinking about I should be thinking about improving my speech. I should be thinking about giving more value to the person who's watching this video. For example, right now, I don't even know if this video's been that valuable or not. I don't really know if there's barely anyone watching this video or not. I'm going back again. You see it. I'm going back into overthinking. I'm going back to, this, all this shit. It's so, it becomes confusing. You know what I mean? I shouldn't be really thinking that much. Thinking ruins shit. Retard maxing is the way. Elisha Long, for example, he's such a good mentor. He talks about this retard maxing. It has a lot of depth to it, but at the same time, it's just such a simple idea. Retard max. Don't think about anything. Don't have deep thoughts. I don't know. I think there's caveats to it. I think character plays a lot of role. Mindsets and mental models and character. Because if I'm thinking like a retard all the time, I'm probably gonna think, today I'm not gonna go to the gym. That's it. Simplify it. There's that part to it as well, where I'm thinking, don't feel like going to the gym. I'm not gonna go to the gym. Not gonna overthink it. But at the same time, there's versions of that. I'm overthinking it again. I think I'm gonna end the video right here, man. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be rambling on for another like hour or whatever. But I think that's it. Yeah. That's how my week has been right now. I'm working on myself, working on my character, working on improving every aspect of my life, but mostly focused on the weight loss, because that's been the biggest growth driver in the last 3 months for me. And I know once I get to the six pack, it's gonna be I'm gonna have even more mental models and mindsets, because it's a psychological change. It's not just a mental change. Sorry, it's not just a physical change. You know, it's a mental game more than a physical game. So that's been me for the past few days. You know, there's so much more that I want to talk about, but there's no structure to this video right now. You know, I believe I should also, like, in the next few days, I should just have a little like bullet points of things that I want to talk about. Just experiment with it. Everything comes through experimentation, you know. Everything comes through experimentation, just looking at things. If I should up this up, move this down, things like that. And I know that goes against the things that I said inside of the video, but these videos is just me basically coaching myself, showing my thought process, autistically analyzing myself in order to show the struggle, show the pain, show the thought processes, show the doubts that I've been feeling to a person who's gonna watch me in the future and see that, oh, I've gotten this result by basically being normal, you know, having doubt, having failures, having struggle in my life. You know, in the last 3 days, I haven't really been feeling that amazing. A significant thing happened to me that I don't really want to talk about that much anymore. If I'm being honest, I've really like gone through the process. But the summary of it was that it's just I got called like unsuccessful by someone close to me, and that just like kind of messed with me inside of my head. And I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, it's actually true. I should improve myself, but at the same time, I'm not going to be that thought right there from that person, the insecurity that they have about themselves that they're trying to project onto me, and the low vibration that they're operating with and going through the world. I'm not gonna put that into my head and act out of scarcity. Just because I haven't really achieved that much and gone through a lot of failure in the past year, I'm not gonna just rush and try to get the results faster just to impress the significant person. All right, I'm not gonna do that anymore. The past me would have just became sad and binge-ate at the moment, but I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm not that person anymore. You know, I don't have recognized that thought pattern of yeah, just become sad and go and binge eat. No. Whenever I become sad, I just use the gym as an outlet now. Understand that I have been given energy, I've been given an opportunity to push myself harder inside of the gym, or push myself harder when it comes to these videos. You know, to document it, to put it out to the world, instead of just hiding inside of my cave, which is my room, right? There's a scene in Fight Club where the character, the main character, the protagonist, his hand, like Tyler Durden puts acid on his hand, right? He burns his hand. And inside of the moment where he's feeling pain, the moment where he's struggling, instead of just trying to embrace that moment and confronting it with 100% attention, he tries to go back to all of those mental masturbation thoughts of, oh, I'm going in my cave, or I'm thinking about meditation, I'm thinking about these outlets, all these escapes, all these places where our minds escape to when we face struggle, instead of just confronting the battle, you know, thinking about the problems, thinking about the thoughts that we are currently having. Those are the greatest moments, because they humble ourselves. You know, it humbles me. It makes me understand that I'm still human no matter what. You know? if I was just getting results and getting results and getting results, and in the future if I just become very successful and I never get any problems anymore in my life, I'll probably think I'm this unfatigable individual. I can't get no problems anymore. I've basically solved life. I'll probably become very egotistical, and God just gives me problems every single day, to remind me that I'm still human, I'm a slave, and that I should obey and devote and worship Him. I think that's my life's purpose, is just devoting my life to God. And I'm still lacking in some areas when it comes to praying. That's a lack, that's a mistake, but that's between me and God. I shouldn't be really talking about it inside of this video, because it's a sin to talk about your sins. But yeah, I want to end the video, but it's like I want to keep talking about more and more topics. I think I just have to get it out. I love making these videos, man. I love doing this. Let me drink some water. What's so shit in Germany? It's 3 p.m. right now, and the sun is like almost about to like sunset. The sun is almost setting. I think we have like an hour of daylight, like 4 p.m., 4:30 p.m., and then it's going to be like dark after that. I love making things simple. I love doing that. Simple bullet points, simple systems. It's like the bell curve, right? It's simplicity, and then there's people who complicate shit and they get nowhere, and then there's simplicity again. Don't you have those things where I'm like, it's so interesting, bro. It's also shit at the same time. I'm talking about all these things, and then there's objections and all these like thoughts coming up inside of my head. When I said, for example, simplicity is so important, overthinking shit is not good. But at the same time, I'm thinking, my hypocrisy in saying that is that I'm saying, it's deep. You should have deep thoughts and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm saying retard maxing stuff like that. I'm improving, all right? I'm improving. I'm not perfect. This is not a new opportunity. This is me just learning lessons about life and just telling them to someone who I think would benefit from it. And at the same time, it's all fueled by self-interest, right? I'm making these videos for myself as well. Improve my speaking, communication, body language, all that shit. Everything that's so important in life. Yeah, I've been thinking about making like daily videos, or like uploading 3 times per week and stuff like that. There's a few parts of my life which I've neglected in this phase of self-development. Parts where originally I was very fond of. But then after this phase of like self-development, it's just like becoming a space monkey, just shaving your head, becoming just like the other person. Or going into school, that image of like kids that are full of color and full of ideas, but when they go to school, they just get all the same thoughts and they just become very robotic like every other person, They don't have original thoughts anymore. And it's when it comes to media specifically. And when I say media, I mean like shows, things that I'm really like interested in. For example, maybe like Japan, going to Japan. I really want to move there, I don't know, or go there, I love that. I love that place. When I was a kid, I used to watch like this show called Doraemon. And it's just like, I don't know, it just kind of gives me some like nostalgia. Being interested in shit like dark fantasy or like dreamcore, that type of shit. I don't know, small things, that kind of like give me more of a personality, but I try to like hide it inside of these videos. And it's just like, I don't know why. I don't know why I'm trying to hide it. I don't know why I'm trying to hide the fact that I like anime or manga or watching movies, or even like playing video games or some shit like that. I don't really think there's actually anything wrong with it. It's just an activity. So long as you're just improving with your life, why should I hide the fact that I sometimes play it here and there? Everyone's in this grind set. They have this grind set about, you're not allowed to do this, you're not like, everyone's telling you how to live your life, while they're still trying to figure out how to improve their own shitty lives. Because they have shitty lives as well. And everyone has problems in their lives. No one really has the authority to tell you how to live your own life. You've been given free will and free choice by God. You're allowed to do anything you want. Why is everyone telling me to do this, do this, do this, do this, do this? Yes. Like, it's so interesting. Like, live your life, man. Live your life. Go out with your family if you want. Don't go out with your family if you want. Make mistakes, fail, learn from them. Everyone's being so rigid and so stiff when it comes to self-development, when it comes to losing weight. It has to be just like this. Otherwise, it's wrong. Consistency is a flow. It's a flow. It's not one straight line. And it's not just spikes. People think it's spikes. It's a smooth line of ups and downs. Smooth lines of small and ups and downs like this. Very small. I've done so many things in the past few years that now I think about it and I think like, oh man, that was so cringe of me. Waking up early before everyone else, torturing myself for nothing, working on some shit that didn't even truly like do anything. I was working on this thing called The Dark Truth Behind YouTube, and I was trying to talk about my YouTube addiction inside of the video and trying to make like a documentary about it, trying to like thinking of making YouTube videos as movies or some shit like that, and it took me over a year to make that thing, but I just lost the files at the end. Lost the files. I almost wrote a book about it, man. That's what perfectionism led me to. Trying to be perfect, trying to have the perfect routine, trying to have the perfect mindset, trying to have the perfect habits, trying to be perfect, trying to wake up at the perfect time, trying to make the perfect video, trying to say the perfect things inside of the video. It took me a month to record that video. And it was like, I don't know how many gigabytes it was. I think it was almost a terabyte, literally, of footage. 40 hours of footage. 100 pages of just text. And I could have made it. But I was so focused on the result. I was so focused on, this video, I need this video to get 10 million views. My first YouTube video. Imagine that. I'm thinking my first YouTube video needs to get 10 million views. That's how up I have put the expectation. Life's beautiful. Life's beautiful, man. I'm telling you. We constantly just spend our times focusing on the problems, not understanding that the problems were our true friends. The problems are, they're never ending. This is a never ending journey, and that's the beauty about it. The beauty is that it never ends. The beauty is that I can keep making videos and keep making better videos where I don't just go on side tangent and blabber about this topic and this topic and this topic and constantly overthink about this and this and this, improving myself. And it constantly just comes through repetition. And having the result will be great. It will be so amazing to be inside of the car. It will be so amazing to have retired my family. It will be so amazing to be financially free and go to, for example, Japan or move to America and have all those things and having impacted so many lives. helping so many people on their weight loss journey, and all these results that I'm trying to chase in my life. But once I get that, I still have to wake up in the morning and just go on with my morning routine. Go to the gym, do the steps. You don't think I will not do the steps once I'm lean bulking? I'll still do the steps. I'll still count the calories. I'll still eat the same meals. Life's beautiful when I think like this. Literally existing. It's such a miracle. It's such a gift. Like, think about it. You exist. What if you didn't exist? What if you were an animal? What if you didn't have consciousness? It's such like a deep thought topic to think about. The sun is setting right now. Like, I believe in my religion, I believe in afterlife and stuff like that, but imagine that, like, you didn't exist before you were born. And I know it sounds like a retard, and I sound like I'm low IQ. But it's like all those experiences, all those moments, you was nothing. You were nothing. There was nothingness. There was no consciousness, there was nothingness. I saw a video the other day and was like, this guy said, you didn't even have an eye, right? What's it like to not even have an eye? So not even the eyeball wasn't even there. And he said, what's it like? What do you even see? He said nothing. I see nothing from this eye because there's no eyeball. It's like trying to see the world through your elbow, right? There's nothing on your elbow. You can't see the world through your elbow. So just existing, I'm so grateful for that God gave me life. And that's why I call myself the anointed one. I was the chosen one. Everyone who exists, they've been chosen to exist. And not using this life to improve ourselves, to worship God, is just a waste. Sitting down, I said like those activities are not wrong to do, but if you're doing it for the last 2 hours of the day, I think it can be moderated. I truly think it can be moderated. Because for the last 2 hours of the day, I just give myself permission to, for example, just not do any work and just watch a movie. I want to be a director in the future, so I do that. Or maybe I'm trying to like get more into like reading some manga, for example, maybe some Berserk. Rigidness will get me nowhere. Overthinking will get me nowhere. Taking action, regardless of how I think, how I feel, and just jumping in, counting to 3 and just jumping in. That is the move when it comes to making stories. Because I'm just documenting. That's it. I'm just documenting. That's the summary. That's it. There's so many people that burn themselves out. There's so many people that quit. I've seen a lot of people quit. It's because they overthink. They overthink about this, everything, and that's why they quit. I can be a person who can still show up because I just hit record, sit down, pause for a brief moment, and then just pour out all the thoughts. Doesn't matter if it's embarrassing, doesn't matter if it's boring, doesn't matter if anyone's watching or not. I'll be watching. I know I'll be watching this in the future. Once I get, I keep saying once I get, and I'm trying to say once I get the results. That's the wrong thing to say. But as I improve, as I improve more and more and more, I'll keep looking back at the place that I started and the core values that I had in the beginning, and try to hold on to those core values of not trying to go viral, of not trying to just think about greed and think about getting results. It's about impact. The world is improving, man. I don't know why everyone's thinking like the world has gone to shit and we're living in the worst times ever, and this phone epidemic and everything, and people are feeling worse than ever. I'm telling you, bro, this is the best time to be alive. The best time to be ever alive. And 50 years back, then it was also the best time to be alive. The things that humanity has gone through, the phases, all these dark periods where you could have just gotten stabbed and your head could have just like been you could have been just like decapitated for just stealing something. We're not living in those times anymore. We have all these opportunities. I could speak to millions of people just through this device that I have right now. There's so many opportunities out there. There's so much information out there to just take. You could take all of these things of like. My mind's exploding with how much I want to say. It's like there's so much opportunity, man. All this news and media and all this bullshit is trying to convince us, yeah, the world's gone to shit and stuff like that. No. We can exercise free will. It's the best time to exercise free will. Never have a scarcity mindset, man. This is advice to myself. Never have a scarcity mindset. 2026. People are looking at 2026 as if it's going to be their year. It's going to be the same repeatable shit, like always. People who think, yeah, I'm going to achieve this in 2026. 2026 is going to be my year. That's how I thought about 2025. 2025 is going to be the year where I'm going to make $50K per month, where I'm going to get the car, where I'm going to move to America, where I'm going to retire my family, where I'm going to do this. I'm going to plan this trip. I'm going to do this. I didn't think about the action at all. I just thought about the results, and that was it. I put myself in pain because I didn't have the results, and I was thinking, yeah, I'm this shit individual because I don't have this result right now. And I put myself in the scarcity mindset. I have to achieve it in a year, but I didn't think about the results, the action at all. What was the action that I had to take in order to get to where I wanted? Nothing. I didn't think about it at all. It was just like, yeah, take fast action in order to get the result. No, it doesn't work like that. It's going to take me in the next 3 years. But I'm still going to act like it will take me the next 3 months. And the result will meet me in the middle. That's where I'm ending the video. Yep. The perfect mindset for 2026. Peace.